Hello and welcome to episode 205 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with socials.
The Wall 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter. YouTube, again, I'm going to keep calling for it now because we're close to 1,000 subscribers. So please subscribe if you're watching, you haven't. And Spotify, iTunes,
mansion.
Please rate. Thank you.
Dan Bates is here.
Hello, everybody.
And Tom Rouse is here. My God,
we are
donned
from the
with... yeah, back from the dead. It wasn't going to be my choice of words, but here we are. Harry, all I'm looking at is your Barcelona top. That's all I'm looking at. I don't know what to say. I don't know where to start with the Neves conversation, but we should probably start with Wolves Nottingham Forest. I think it's the last time we did a podcast. So, very important win, huge win. It started raining, which meant we got pissed on in the North Bank. So let's start there. I think you called it a 6-pointer before the game, and I think you're right. And it was important to take 3 points.
Yeah, it was a massive game. And we may as well just say what we did because it started raining where we sit in the North Bank. We watched probably 90% of the game down in the concourse because we didn't want to get absolutely soaked. So, but
Wetters.
Yeah, very important game, and we just about scraped over the line, didn't we? Really, let's be honest. We played well first half. I think we deserved to take the lead when we eventually did, and then obviously the great save by Sarr. But it was still a bit worrying for me. Like we did deserve the win, but we were playing a Forest team who are awful. So I don't know whether it is we played well or they were just shocking. But it was all about the 3 points, wasn't it? And I was chuffed for Davis. And in the end, we got the job done, but it weren't straightforward at all, was it?
I think the thing is, Dan, it was a must-win. And obviously, songs from the South Bank were he's only got one hand, which was true. But after the game, I heard that Steve Davis went to the pub with his mates, as he normally would do after a match, and just chatted it out. But how class is that?
Is that actually true?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's quality.
Man of the people.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of it? I mean, it wasn't the best performance of the season, was it?
We got there, didn't we? We just did enough. Credit to Sarr where credit's due, because he's had a couple of stinkers this year on a couple of them. So fair play for actually saving that with a broken hand, apparently.
Yeah.
What can you say? We just about beat probably the worst team in the league by a distance. And that, I don't know, 3 points, that's all that matters, isn't it? Yeah, take the single positive. It's 3 more points. We need to get to what, 35, 38 or something like that. It's a pretty poor year this year.
Tom, it's great to have you back in the realm of YouTube. What did you think of it all? Because I think he played the right team. I think he played the most attacking team that he probably could have played. So for me, there were no arguments on that front. But how do you think it all panned out?
I actually thought the first 20 or 30 minutes or so was very good. And the way that we were playing the ball forward was unlike we'd seen under Bruno. There was a few times when Neves or a member of the back four was actually pinging it through the midfield and surpassing, a section of the pitch. Whereas before, it was very tedious, very sideways for a long period. And then we sort of, I don't know whether it was trying to be a bit of rope-a-dope under Bruno and just try and tie up other teams out. But we haven't got the capabilities or skill to be able to create a quick 1-2 on the edge of the 18-yard box. So we do need to rely on these big over-the-top balls. And I think the way that they utilised Traore on Saturday was quite good. And he had quite a good game because, again, he's playing against the worst, I can't remember who it was, the worst left-back in the league, though, by virtue of playing for the worst team in the league. But yeah, we had some joy, and that's where the goal came from ultimately, wasn't it, with Traore's winning that penalty. I thought he had a really good game. I thought I liked the subs that came on as well, the young lads that
Hodge
just ran around. Bueno, obviously, which we'll come to in the Palace game, I thought was excellent in that game. But Hodge, was it Hodge who was the young lad that came on and kicked
Hodge
the bloke
made that
in the
tackle,
air?
didn't he? Yeah, that's Hodge.
Yeah, that was a good moment. It's something that we've lacked for a long time, but we can't rely on 18 to 20-year-olds to have that impetus. Diego Costa, though, top shithousery. Big fan of that with in the second half. So there were some positives to take out of it, but then ultimately wasn't followed up on Tuesday night with the result and the second half performance at Palace, unfortunately.
Harry, let's stick with Nottingham Forest. I mean, Tom's mentioned the substitutions there, and they all came in the last 10 minutes of the game. Working with the small squad, does it seem that Nuno was the only kind of guy that could work with that small squad? Everyone seems to be having that same difficulty with making the changes that they clearly want to make, but it's so late on the game that it's not really going to make a difference.
Well, it was a situation because we were hanging on, really, wasn't we? 8 minutes added time in the end, and he had to make some changes. And like you said, the squad's small, so he's got to bring on the likes of Hodge, Bueno. And to be fair, that Hodge tackle was probably one of the highlights of the game. It was a big cheer.
A tackle,
we don't have much to cheer about these days. And obviously, like my dad's, I'm stretching my dad, and he's like, "Yes, what you like to see." You know what I mean? Man's game. But I was thinking back as well to Kilman's header when he hit the post. I thought that was quite unlucky.
Yeah.
And I agree with what Tom said about Costa. He's just a character, and he hadn't lost that side of him. But at the end of the day, we did creep across the line, and in the grand scheme of things, it was absolutely huge. And it was nice to see the players seem like they care, and they seem like they wanted to play for Davis, where we lost that under Bruno Lage. I think he just lost the dressing room. So, And Traore was absolutely brilliant, and he got a lot of stick online, which I was shocked at. But I thought he had a really good game.
I agree with that. Dan, do you think that? I mean, he's starting games now. I think he should be, regardless of where his future lies. He's clearly a threat.
Oh, most definitely. The thing that interests me, what Harry said, is that from the Forest game, he said he thought the players clearly wanted to play for the manager and were trying. And, we're going to come on to it, but from my experience watching the second half of Palace, it's the exact opposite. So, a strange turn of events in a short space of time.
Tom, Boubacar Traore came on. I think he made a difference, and obviously we will talk about Palace and stuff because he earned himself a starting berth. But do you see a player in there? Do you think that it works with the system that Steve Davis clearly wants to play?
I said to my dad, he's all arms and legs, isn't he? He seems to have. He's got a very wide wingspan, but he's very raw. Like we were told when we signed him, I think he's very young. He's very inexperienced in top level football. So I think we've got to be patient with him. There does look like there's a player there, but he's going to get a few red cards from 2 yellows, which I think he would have got the other night had he not have been taken off. He's not going to be able to keep up with the pace of the Premier League at the moment, but hopefully the World Cup break and a bit of time to settle into the country because I don't know if you got this from the when they introduced him and they sort of showed that video of his first day. It seemed as if nobody was talking to him, and it was only Aït-Nouri who was sort of like, "Oh, you're French as well. Come on, let's talk to each other."
The French Revolution.
So I think there's going to be a bit of a settling period for him. But I did like him. I liked what I saw in what game did he come on before? The Man City game.
Yeah,
I think he's shown a little bit where he's got some potential, but it's going to be a long time until we see what he can actually do.
Harry, how did you solve a problem like Johnny? Because I think a lot of us were probably like, I don't think. Normally, you'd say, yes, actually, right back. I prefer him in that position when Semedo's not playing there. But how do you think he did? Because I think his link-up play was poor and he didn't get in around the back enough.
Yeah, he was okay in spells in the game, but again, not good enough, which he got dropped in the game after. So it's a tough one with Johnny because we've said before, haven't we, in years gone by, he's always been a solid 7, 8 out of 10 every week. In a back four, he seems to have struggled when he's played left back. They switched into right back, weren't too much better. Is it his double injuries that have got catching up on him? Maybe, but obviously we keep saying we're going to get onto Palace. We will talk about Semedo had a shocker that second half of that game, but I hope he can improve. And for his standards, he hasn't been good enough at all. And he's a senior player, and we need him to start leading by example, don't we? Really.
To be honest, I genuinely think it's that you can say that about quite a lot of players.
Yeah.
From what I've seen this year, Johnny had that one. Which game was it at home? Where he had an absolute storm. He was brilliant. Yeah, he was absolutely super. Then he drops off. Then, all of them have done it. No one's getting that consistent good form that you need to be a decent team. It's frustrating, isn't it?
So
it's like got 11 Adamas on the pitch.
I think that's fair. Harry, do you think Sarr is obviously in this game the difference? It's the second penalty that he has saved at home. He's rescued the points every single time. Do you think it's fair that so much is put on his shoulders? And also, what do you think of the VAR decisions? Because for me, I think both penalties were soft. I think Fulham's was probably more soft than Wolves, but I'm obviously biased. But what did you think about the decision? But also, what do you think about the way that it was handled in the build-up to that decision being awarded, where you're sat in the stadium going, what's going on?
Well, first of all, on Sarr, he's been a bit dodgy this season, but ironically, he broke his wrist when he saved the first penalty against Fulham, didn't he?
Yeah,
and then he saved this one again. So he's been hit and miss like everybody. On VAR, I was speaking to Seb about this when we was watching it down the concourse, and I listened to Gary Neville on a podcast, and he said when they're on Sky Sports, they can hear in their ears VAR, like Stockley Park and the referee speaking to each other. And it's only happened once where when the referee runs over to that screen, 99% of the time, the decision's already been made and he's just running over for show, just to go and have a look, but you are giving this, or, vice versa. So, as soon as he runs over, I knew they were both being given. On the actual penalties, I'll be honest, I didn't even notice it until I saw the slowed down replay. Technically, it probably is a penalty, but I think that was a soft one, I've got to admit. And their penalty, Nunes, just a bit clumsy, wasn't it? Tussling with their player, so I think it was a penalty for them. But on VAR, it's so inconsistent, as we know. But when they're going to run over, lads, you just know they're giving it straight away. And it takes so long, it just kills the atmosphere, doesn't it?
Yeah. Tom, bring you in there.
To be honest, I haven't watched the clips back again, but I will say the time it took was ridiculous, and I don't think that was reflected then in the stoppage time. Perhaps I think there was 8 minutes, but there were also a couple of injuries. There were a couple of injuries and other things like that. But I genuinely think that each one probably took 3 minutes. Add on top of that, close to 10 substitutions in the game. I think football needs to take a leaf out of rugby's book and stop the clock when these things are happening. I don't know why still we have to have stoppage
all night,
time.
Tom.
For those who listen, Tom is Welsh, so that's the only sport that they're good at. But no, I do agree. I think the stop clock thing should definitely be brought in because it just clears up any conversation.
We'll be there forever. We'll be 2.5. It'll be American football. It'll be 2.5 hours.
That is what happens with rugby nowadays.
Come on, it's not the same.
Not enough watching them for an hour and a half, Sam.
No, I agree. Yeah, if it was any team but ours, I agree. But surely, Dan, you've got to stop the clock in.
Make the game 60 minutes then. We'll have American football. 4 quarters, the Pepsi mega time, last 10 minutes.
Yeah, cheerleaders as short as possible.
Cheerleaders, yes. What was the dance school where they used to do the halftime show? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember it.
Awful. It was terrible. it was awful.
We can't score in 90 minutes. Don't get down to 60.
I mean, man of the match, Harry. I think it has to be.
It's got to be Gibbs White for Forest, isn't it? Man of the match.
Yeah, he was shit, wasn't he?
He was shocking. Man of the match for us, I'll give it Sarr or Traore. I'll tell you what, I'll go with Traore.
Tom?
Probably Sarr. It's got to be Sarr, isn't it?
Bailey's got 3 stars.
I don't like giving goalkeepers man of the match, but when it's that tight and it's a penalty save, it's probably correct.
Outrageous.
He didn't have anything else to do, to be fair.
It's his job, Roy Keane.
Let's take it.
But Traore was good. That's the thing. Traore was good.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Palace. Palace away. Bayliss, obviously, it's a bus stop from your house. But Hugo Bueno comes in at left back, and you're thinking, oh, okay. Semedo in at right back. He had an absolute stormer of first half, didn't he?
Well, it was the weird. I actually haven't watched Wolves play a game like this for ages. It was complete 2 halves. And fair enough, it's because we let them back in so quickly. But first half, passed the ball nicely. Traore in the middle gets himself about. You're right, Tom. He is like a daddy long legs, but he just sort of got about and caused trouble, and the ball broke down a lot, and they let Wolves play. And the move Wolves created for the goal, the finish is just the end of it. It's actually where the ball gets turned over, how quickly we move the possession and get it out wide. That's fantastic. And I thought Bueno looked pretty unfazed by the event. He seemed to have a very good game. But Costa should have scored in the first half.
Oh, yeah, he should have. Yeah, he should have.
What was he doing?
Twice.
Well,
we haven't got a Wolves striker hasn't scored a goal yet this year, unless they're playing.
We haven't got any.
I
mean, we got one. He's 34 years old.
But then you can't go and do what we did in the second half. Fair enough. bad luck. We conceded early, but it was bad defending. We've let them get on top straight away out the gate, which is always going to put us on the back foot. But then it was like we invited pressure for so long, and then the mistake was just ridiculous. It's not a mistake, in fact. It's not. The second goal isn't a mistake. It's, I don't know what it is. Laziness, don't care.
Disorganised.
It's not disorganisation. Putting one foot in front of the other as quickly as the break in front of you isn't to do with your organisation. You're either unfit, fair enough, but you haven't played a lot of football, or you're not asked. That's my only two opinions I can draw from it.
Which do you think it is?
Unfortunately, I think he's not asked.
Obviously, we're talking about Semedo here, but
yeah,
as you said, first half he had Zaha in his pocket. Let's be honest, he was brilliant. But I've got to admit, he was at fault. He was at fault for 2 goals. There's no doubt.
He was superb first half. Yeah, he got everywhere.
Yeah, he was.
Kept them out. But we were organised first half, and then we let them come at us, and they did open up a bit of space. But if you know a team's coming on you in the ascendancy, you either drop off and face it, or you bloody get hold of your man. Yeah. Worst comes to the worst, he's a yard outside the box, slash him in half.
Yeah.
Take the yellow, free kick. Good luck.
I think the big thing for a lot of people was looking at the substitutions and going, these just don't make sense. So Steve Davis came out at the end of the game, said we had to. Adam had a small injury before the game. We had to do it even though he was causing them problems. Boubacar was fatiguing massively, and Nunes had a bang on the head that we're a bit worried about. So, I mean, Tom, you have to take them in that instance. You know, they've got all the data behind it to back it up, but obviously it is still massively disappointing because like Harry said and Dan, that first half was miles apart from the second half performance.
I do believe that they all genuinely had knocks or injuries. It's just bad man management or game management to take all 3 of them off at the same time. Stagger that across 10-15 minutes and manage the game a little bit better, particularly because you're bringing on the young lad who's only 20 and has played one half of a Premier League game and a couple of minutes the other night. I think it would have been better to have tried to stagger it a bit more and ease all 3 of them into the game. But saying that, they all nearly contributed to a goal as soon as they come on, didn't they? I can't remember exactly what happened, but they all touched the ball to get it into the box.
Nunes was poor.
It's just the lack of depth on the bench is just so clear to see when you're in a situation like that, when you have to make 3 subs and all 3 of them are just so key to the starting 11 that they're irreplaceable, really.
I was sat there, Dan, thinking, how is he going to change that? And I was thinking in my head, I was like, I don't think he can. I don't think there's any way of changing this game. When you look at the bench and you go, okay, well, who comes off? I don't know. I don't think Adama should. If he has to come off, then it should come. But but when you look at it, you go, well, who do you replace? I couldn't think. I've been so disappointed with Guedes O'Harry. I've not been impressed at all by him. He really needs.
He's a new Roger Johnson.
He does seem like that. I mean, it's like there was so much expectation when he came, and you're looking at the fans where he came from. And they're like, oh, my God, I can't believe he's gone to Wolves. I'm looking at him and going, I don't see it. There's nothing there that makes you think there's a player in there because he's not coming close every game. He's not making the runs. He's not getting in behind. He's just not doing it. I don't know if it's because he's playing out of position, which may a little bit play into it, but I don't know. I don't know where.
He was all right.
Yeah, he was good at Spurs, but he is in a team that is scared of running into the box. But on the substitutions, like I agree with what Tom said, making them all at the same time was ridiculous. And I'm glad we did find out it was a fitness thing, though, because it literally cost us the game, I think, those 3 subs. Because we bring on Moutinho and Hodge, and we take off Traore and Nunes, and we've got 2 midgets in midfield, and they've got some big lads, Palace.
It's so true. It looked like 2 borrowers in the land of the giants. It was ridiculous. I mean, why are you belting?
They are a big team, Palace.
And we couldn't keep hold of the ball. The constant pressure on our back 4 then, they just couldn't cope. Obviously, we just mentioned how Semedo fell apart. Collins and Kilman struggled. I mean, Kilman on the second goal, he looked like a 50-year-old man trying to stick his leg out to try and intercept the pass. It was just bizarre. But as you mentioned, Tom, that we created a chance straight away. Costa laid it back to Hodge. He got the ball in the box, and I think he got the Wolves PTSD and just shit himself and didn't want to shoot. Yeah, he didn't want to shoot. But I feel a bit sorry for Davis because I've been really, he's 3 team selections he's had. have been right. I think all fans will agree he's made the right. But that's his probably first big blunder, is making all 3 of those substitutions at the same time, because it did throw the game away. I think we'd have come away with something if we'd have played it differently. Because I know Palace come out flying, but if we could have stayed tight for the first 10 minutes of that second half and done something different with the substitutions, we could have come away with a point in that game. But I just also want to say, if you haven't mentioned it, again, Traore, fair play to him. Really good performance, good header. I mean, he finally got a goal. And and Bueno, what a performance from him. I thought defensively he was excellent. He's put in the senior players a shame, it is, the way he performed. He's showing that
that's what he needs. That cross, come and say, "I'll take your space."
Yeah, that cross is incredible.
I don't know.
It's better than Aït-Nouri.
Yeah, I agree. However, I think there was an element of the senior players did step up to cover him quite a lot in that first half. Yeah. So he was always 2-on-1. He was never 1-on-1 with anybody, and I think that does make a big difference. But I think that completely dropped off in the second half. I don't know why.
As well. How different would the game been as well if Neves' free kick went in? Outside of the post.
No, I thought I was waiting for the net to run.
Me.
North stayed at the post in the first half before.
They did.
They did. Yeah.
But we had a handball shout as well, second half.
Yeah, that's what
VAR again. Yeah.
I've seen those given if you're Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Agree. I completely agree.
I've got the screenshot of it. It just the ball is going to go past him if it doesn't.
To me, that's handball.
Was there argument it hit his knee first? I saw that somewhere, but I think
it still hit his hand. It's not. It's unnatural. That's not.
Remember the Matinho one? Was it against
City?
Man City.
Was it Man City? Yeah.
Away.
Yeah. And that was turning around and getting hit on the back, wasn't it?
But that hit him right in the spine there.
Yeah.
They still managed to give it City there.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's a point there.
Who missed the sitter as well? Second half, was it Kilmer? But I think it was offside.
Anyway. No, Collins.
It
was offside anyway, but yeah. Shocking.
That was just in a nutshell, wasn't it, that finish? That's a Wolves finish. That is.
It really was.
3 yards.
It really was. I don't want to do a man of the match for that performance, but
Bueno, give it.
Yeah, Bueno.
I think it.
Sorry, Bueno. Why did I say Hodge?
Yeah, Bueno.
Yeah,
Hodge.
Hodge got the small award, and that's about it. Well, look, let's. What do we do here, Harry? Do we go and talk about Leicester, or do we talk about the Ruben Neves interview?
I think we should talk about the manager situation and Neves and everything, shouldn't we?
Agree. So, Mike Beale said no. Do you know what? I've spoken to a lot of Villa fans today and said, the wheels have come off since he's gone. He's clearly held in high regard in the football world. He's done wonders with Gerrard at Rangers. He's done the same at Villa because, their resurrection from the dead was probably mostly built on what he did, aside from the Sheffield United fiasco of goal line technology, because they should be down. But no, we will let it go. But what do you think of somebody of his caliber and his experience being the manager to reject Wolves? What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, we've got to talk about Lopetegui rejecting us as well at some point and how bad Scott Sells and Jeff are. But yeah, on this Beale, again, never heard of him. I hadn't heard of him, and I looked into it. And for me, it would have been a gamble. But obviously, Jeff and that love potential, don't they? Like that's what when we were getting Bruno Lage, and it was he's inexperienced. He's been in England a bit. He went to Benfica, but let's give him a go. So this Beale, everyone's raving about him because he's good at interviews and he's been a good assistant manager, and obviously started off well at QPR. But it would have been a huge risk. It would have, and it could have gone absolutely pear-shaped. And he might have looked at it and thought, I don't want to be involved with that squad they've got there currently, how small it is. And he's heard what the hierarchy are like. But it's a shambles. It's a complete shambles the way it's gone. And I don't get why everyone thinks it would have just been unreal if he'd have come in. He's inexperienced at the end of the day. He wouldn't have just come in and made it all incredible and we'd have flew at the table. I think that's a bit unrealistic. But he did speak well. I'll give him that. And he's a breath of fresh air, but he's got to prove it as an actual manager, which he is at QPR at the moment. And I'm not overly devastated we haven't got him, to be honest. I'd rather have Lopetegui if he can get over his personal issues.
In all fairness, Harry, there's a big QPR fan at work, and he was just raving about him. Apparently, the way QPR are now playing is like he's never seen. Like, fair enough, it's the Championship, but QPR are top, and I don't think they've gone and spent a hell of a lot of money. He's turned them into a decent team. I'd have liked it as a gamble.
Tom, you were looked like you were holding your tongue there. What's your view?
So it reminded me, the whole situation reminded me a little bit of when Everton approached Nuno when we were in the Championship after about the same point of the season.
Good point.
And
Good
we
shout.
were flying, but Nuno had come out and all the time had been saying that, he was here for the long term, he was building a project, all this sort of stuff, which if you watch Mick Beale or whatever his name is, Mike Beale, that's what he was saying. And it's nice to see a bit of integrity and loyalty in football still. It's a shame that it's played badly on us, but actually it was refreshing to see that.
I think that those two things were things that he picked up on. He said, there's no loyalty in football, and it's nice to actually repay a little bit of faith.
Yeah, and he deserves now to go on and get QPR promoted and build his reputation that way, rather than a quick jump to the Premier League and maybe finish 17th, 16th with us, and then where does he go from there? I think if he does well with QPR,
he's also bought himself a little bit of time in that if he doesn't get promoted, then he gets another crack at it.
Yeah, but the other thing I would say on the whole situation is that how naive or stupid, if you want to say, she and Sellars were to come out in the morning yesterday and say he's our number one target, having not actually spoken to him and sounded out like, is he genuinely going to come? They've done it through sort of third parties and agents and stuff, but actually, I only had to watch the interview that he did after the Cardiff game, and you knew he's not going to come to us. He's pretty sold on the QPR idea. So it just smacks of desperation and bad planning, no contingency. There should have been a line of managers we were talking to since the summer. Bruno was under pressure in May. Why is it now at the end of October that we're still like, oh, well, Lopetegui's dad might die soon and we could go for him then? Why has it got to that point? It should have been.
That's true.
There should have been 3 or 4 managers who we could just knock on their door. Right, we'll have you. Why we haven't spoken to Sean Dyche? Why we haven't been linked with Pochettino or Tuchel? Even speculatively, they've not even been spoken about. Why are we scraping around? With these 2 managers, and it's been so public and so embarrassing now for the board that I can't see anything other than them being. Then they're going to have to go, Sellars and She, because of how bad they've done in this situation. It will lead to us getting relegated because of how bad they've done in this.
They sacked Bruno without a plan, didn't they? They just did that without no backup.
It was a bit of pressure because there was a few boos in the West Ham game. They thought, well, we better sack him now.
I think you've got to look at the crux of it, that Jeff Shee's been able to ride a wave of us being pretty good, but when it comes down to it, he's a puppet that's been put there by his overlords. He's done a job. He's been able to ride through it because there hasn't been really any challenge.
Yeah.
His team and his money have got him to this point. And now when he's actually got to try and run a football club rather than a business, he doesn't know the first thing about it.
I think
he's made one good decision.
You can pinpoint it to when Laurie Dalrymple left. I think that's where the wheels came off behind the scenes.
Farewell as well.
Farewell.
He hasn't got football people anymore. They are financiers. No. He's clearly not a very good one, the State Fosener in anyway.
No, that's true.
So, he's been called out. The fans have probably now realised that he's been put there. He doesn't really know what he's doing, and this is the opportunity he's had to prove it, as he has for the last 6 to 12 months as well. Pretty much, other than giving us some money to buy some players.
Yeah.
Well, look how naive he was with the Man City comments as well when he first did an interview. His first few interviews, he said we're going to be like Man City in 5 years. He shot himself in the foot with that, didn't he? Because a lot of our fan face expectations.
We're going to win the league in 2 seasons, aren't we?
Yeah.
Not a football manager.
But you're right about Dalrymple and that. Like Scott Sellars, he don't paint himself in glory, does he? When some of the decisions that.
What has he done before in football?
So he was a City's academy manager or something, wasn't he?
Well, there you go, another open checkbook.
Well, yeah, that's true. Harry, Gerrard's been sacked by Villa.
Get him in.
So
Beale's going to get him. Beale's going to go there.
My point would be that you're almost tussling for a similar position, because you've got 2 clubs in the West Midlands who are vying to sign the manager. Who would you pick over Wolves and Villa? I think if you look at the long and short of it, you would probably pick Villa over the 2 in terms of infrastructure and stadium and all of that sort of thing. So that adds a little bit to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Villa definitely. If you're looking at Wolves at the moment, it's a mess, isn't it? The way we've handled these last few weeks with the Lopetegui thing and flying to Spain, they must have had an inkling he was having personal problems. So to fly over to Spain, they just look silly in that situation. The Michael Beale situation, they're looking silly and desperate, and now they've had to come out and just say we're giving it to Davis. Until the World Cup comes around, and Villa are hunting for, is it Tuchel? I mean, we're not going to get someone like that, are we? Or Pochettino?
No, he won't.
Who's the one? Bosch. Tom, you might know better than me. Is it Bosch?
He used to manage Ajax and Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, I think he's turned it down as well.
Bosch.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's very highly thought of, though. I think he's again scraping the barrel. But I guarantee Villa will obviously have a manager in before we do. Now that Steve Davis is going to be in until the new year, which means that they will have a manager in place for that 6-week gap when the World Cup's in to work with their squad, and they will hit the ground running and they'll get away from the relegation zone.
Don't worry, Tom. We're getting Rob Edwards in to help. So
good. Thank God.
We'll be
right.
That's only the worst manager.
The one thing I would say about the managerial situation, I'm going to read these out now, is that he said he's going to take us into 2023. So there's actually only 7 games until 2023.
Yeah.
So
that's quite a lot of the season, though, Sam.
We could, if we don't do one of them 7 games,
I agree, but sometimes it's like it sounds a lot more because
we've already had 4 under him.
4 weeks. All right.
It's a quarter of the season.
Well, yes, no, I agree. It's
Sorry.
not ideal. It sounds like I'm working for Wolves now, but I completely agree. However, the thing I would say back to you, Tom, is that I think the football that we played under Steve Davis has been much better than what we've seen all season.
Yeah, but the best thing on his CV is that he won the Johnson's Paint Trophy with Crew.
At least he won it. At least he won it.
He did. Yeah, of course he won it.
You got to win.
That's great. I'm not taking anything away from Steve Davis, but we've just said about his management, so the game management, that sort of thing. That's where that's why he's been a League One and National League manager, and not a Championship or Premier League manager, because of that slight difference, unfortunately. And if somebody like Rob Edwards or somebody comes into,
however, you have just said how good Mike Beale is by being assistant.
Well, and I only said about his interviews. I haven't watched the QPR game. I couldn't tell you if they're any good.
Right.
The top of the Championship, though.
Sam, I'm sorry if you're going to get onto this, but we've got to mention it. It's come out in the last hour that Scott Sellars is involved with substitutions and tactics now, so we are sorted. We're going to be top 4.
Yeah.
I don't know where you go with that. I really don't.
It's just bizarre. We are becoming an absolute laughing stock. We actually are, aren't we? It's getting.
So I saw this on Saturday, Harry. The Forest game. So because of where I sit behind the director's box, I always see Jeff Shee and all those other clowns that do the esports and music and whatever. They all come and sit on the front row. And Scott Sellars is with Jeff Shee on that front row. But on Saturday, as we were leaving the ground, he was sat in the sort of technical area, the analyst sort of bit, which is to the right of the director's box with headphones in. So I think he is right. I think he's calling the shots. So I think they've made Scott Sellars sort of, overseeing everything football based.
All the best managers, all of them through history, Cloughy included, always said the second the chairman got involved, they want nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
but Scott Sellars has made so many mistakes he's involved in the recruitment side, and now they think, hold on, let's just get this bloke to sort out the tactics on the pitch as well. He must have something over Jeff. You know what I mean? He must have some private information about him.
He must have, maybe Huang gave him the pictures that he's got over Bruno. I mean, that's what it was. 2 of them together. Harry, an interview came out today with Ruben Neves, and the thing that everybody picked up on, including me, and it made my blood boil. So the question was, what do you think? You've been linked to Barcelona. He said, who wouldn't want to try Barcelona? I think it's a common question for all players. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world. Of course, it is always a privilege for me to be associated with clubs of this caliber. Now, I cannot tell you how angry I was to hear him talk about another club like that.
In his second language when he's been asked the question. Jesus.
Yeah. So what you say
is the timing's ridiculous.
I'm the captain of Wolves. My focus is Wolves. Thank you for your question.
He hasn't said.
Everyone loves to be linked. I wonder what it's like to play for Barcelona. Ask Adama Traore. He was there 6 months ago. How did that go for him?
Yeah, so listen, ironically,
let Dan come come back on that.
I don't think it's particularly malicious what he said. It wasn't like he said,
it's
it's every
outrageous. I think
boy's
it's
dream
terrible.
to play at
I think
Barcelona.
It's not malicious,
He's
Bailey,
not-
but
he's not
we're in a
Spanish.
relegation battle, and why is he talking about moving to Barcelona when he's our
One
club
question in
captain?
a
It's the
long
timing
interview.
of it. It's the timing
He's
of
not
it.
a Catalan giant.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's
Well, let
one
you bring
question
you
an
in there,
interview.
Dan. Come on.
It's just one question interview. I wouldn't overly read into it.
Do you
He
not
played
expect a
pretty bloody
captain
well
of
on
your
Tuesday
football
night.
club, captain of your football club, to come up with a better fucking answer than that?
I expect him to play football on the pitch and not talk to journalists.
Okay,
He
you
should
haven't
just
lost.
not
Why are they
bother.
bringing in that journalist at the time when we're struggling as well?
they
Why are they letting
bother.
that interview happen? Like, it's probably Scott Sellars' decision. But I'm wearing this Barcelona.
I'm going to bring Tom.
Ironically,
Tom, I'll bring you in there.
I do agree with Bailey. So I think Neves has done enough talking on the pitch this season to, we know he's going to leave, whether it's in January or at the end of the season. I know that it's not the right thing to do, but there's a lot of these interviews as well.
That's the question. Is it the right thing to do?
Well, there's a lot of these interviews as well that get taken out.
Being honest, FC, is it? It's
well, we are usually, but anyway, but too honest, but they get taken out of context. Remember in the summer with Neto, he's always wanted to play for Arsenal. He said it in an interview once. It was actually the context of it, but the context of it was he got forced. Who was your favourite team growing up? And he thought for ages and went, Arsenal, maybe. We don't know the context. We've only seen this written down, but we haven't seen a video of what Neves actually said.
Why is he saying Arsenal?
It's sensationalism. It's the media stirring things up. They know that we're in trouble, and they know that these kind of quotes can stir up a frenzy. I wouldn't read too much into it.
No. Honestly, it made me angry that he didn't have the capability to say, thank you for the question. However, my focus is Wolverhampton.
They don't do that, though, do they?
If you'd even asked that question in Portuguese, you'd have probably told them the way to the swimming pool and the light.
Yeah. Well, I was very, very good with the protractor as well. Also.
Knowing Wolves, though, what will happen is we'll be 17th come the World Cup. We'll hit January, and Scott Sellars will go, Neves, you know what? Go on loan to Barca for free.
Yeah, no obligation.
Just go, son. Yeah, we'll pay you wages. Yeah.
Get
that's what
like Adama did.
So I'm going to become a Barcelona fan when Adama goes back and Neves goes with him. That's why I'm wearing this top. So I'm officially a Barcelona fan.
It's the Wolves B team
in all fairness, I've watched them play this season. They weren't, or like the end of last season. They weren't that great.
But people say they're in debt. They've spent loads of money.
It depends what debt it is. I mean, that's going into economics of football when you go into debt like that. I mean, Barcelona are never going to be in trouble realistically. Obviously, not qualifying for the knockout stage of the Champions League is a big blow, and if that's what Neves wants to do, then fine. But I expect more from my club captain than it's so flattering. It's so flattering to be linked with Barcelona. It's like you get paid by Wolves. You should stick up for your team. Your teammates are going to watch this, and what will they think if you go, oh no, it's always a dream of mine to play for Barcelona, and also that's not true. He's never said it before.
But just to go on that, it's not like I watched the clip, like Bailey and Tom were saying. After that he did say, look, obviously I'm going to do what I all for Wolves. It's just the fact they even let the interview happen for me. Your club captain talking about things like that when we're struggling. We know he's going.
Media management.
Yeah, we know he's going, but why even let it happen? Because the fans are going to go mental, which they already are about everything else. So why just put more fuel on the fire? We know Neves will give his all on the pitch. We know what sort of person he is. He will give his all. He does love Wolves, but we know he's going as well. But it's just, I don't blame Neves so much. He shouldn't have answered the question. He should have just said, I'm at Wolves at the moment, blah, de blah. But it weren't too bad. But it's whoever let the interview happen. It's whoever let it happen.
They have obligations, don't they, to these media outlets? So,
but the media outlet was that bloody... But who was the actual outlet who did the interview? Is that one that bloke in it who just covers Portugal players? That's where
Dazzling
I saw it. Yeah, it was Dazzling Dave. Why let Dazzling Dave into that interview? I mean, come on.
No, they shouldn't. No, can't string a sentence together. Right, let's. Where do we turn? So Leicester, Harry.
No, hold on.
I mean,
Sam, before that, there's one other thing I want to talk about.
Oh, go on.
Raul Jimenez
to Club America.
He's been linked with Club America now, so we've sent him to Mexico to recover from his injury. Correct. And now he's going. Now he's being binned off to Club America. Well, at least we handle everything so well.
Well, do you think he'll go? I don't know. I think he's absolutely.
So. He might as well retire.
Well, I think there's an element of that. Yeah, I love him so much, but I've just not seen it since. I'm so glad that he came back from that horrific injury because I didn't think we'd see him play again. But it's not working out. Dan, you've always been the kind of person who won't let sentiment set aside and go from there.
Shouldn't really, should it? I mean, it's great that he's fine. That's it. I genuinely thought he died on that pitch.
No, yeah, I agree.
Bad,
The fact
Yeah,
he's
it's
played
awful.
football again is
Terrible.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But sadly, the time's passed, and although Wolves fans are very thankful because he's done a lot for the club, especially in really great seasons, but he isn't going to help us going forwards. I think we've just got to say thank you. Take your lap around the pitch, have your applause. Off you go to. I assume he wants to go back to America, to Mexico, right?
Club America.
Yeah. So yeah, fair enough. That's what he should do if he wants to go and be with his family and stuff.
Tom, bring you in now.
Yeah, agree. Nothing really to add to it other than I'll be glad to see the back of his silly costumes.
His hook.
His hook, his mask, his eye patch. Well, his eye patch is his head guarding it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Creative, though. Just show me you ain't creative on the pitch and putting the ball in the net lately. Yeah.
Well, let's finish off with Leicester. I mean, Harry, it's another huge game. It's a Midlands derby. It's another East Midlands team at home that we need to take 3 points off. Where do you start? I reckon Hugo Bueno has made more than a case to be starting left back.
Yeah, it feels like the build up to the Forest game all over again because we lost in the week to Sam's died. Yeah, because we lost in the week against Palace, which a draw would have been wonderful. We're back in 6-pointer territory. They've kicked on a bit, haven't they? They've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 1 in their last 4, so they're picking up a bit of form. I think they're going to be the favourites in my eyes. I don't know what the bookies are saying, but I think they'll be the favourites. They put 4 past Forest. We could only put 1 past Forest. And if they turn up and they're on it, they're going to kill us. They're going to beat us quite easily, I think. If we play like we did second half against Crystal Palace. On the team, I would start Bueno. I'd put him in there. He's got to start after that performance. And we say it every week now with all the rumours of how unfit our squad is. Are we going to start that team again and pull off all our star performers after 60 minutes and lose the game? Probably. But I'd play the same formation as we did. I'd start Nunes, Babacar Traore in midfield. I'd probably drop Pedence, to be honest. I think he was absolutely awful against Palace. So
I'd drop him. Get it.
Yeah, I'll just give him a go. Pedence gave away the ball about. I think he made 1 pass, which is the one he put through to Costa when he missed his chance. Every other pass he tried to make, he lost it or he'd dive on the floor like he'd been shot.
Tom?
The only thing I'd say about the team is that we've seen a lot of these young players coming in, but we haven't seen an under-23s striker be added to the bench just as another option. I don't follow the under-23s enough, but apparently Lee Harkin, is that his name, has looked quite good in under-23s games. So why not, as another option, just put him on the bench? Just let's see what else we've got available to us and give him the last 10 minutes. We're going to lose the game, as Harry said. I think this is the point where the fans will turn against the board. I think things are going to look ugly. I think we could comfortably lose this game 3-0, and I think things will get quite toxic in Molineux. And I think Leicester are in a bit of a false position. They've had a bit of a wobbly start to the season, but I think they're still a strong enough team with a good enough manager to get themselves well clear of danger. And I think they'll do a number on us on Sunday.
Do you know what Roger Clark's put in the comments? Lee Harkin is great, but smaller than Pedence. How small is this man? He must be the world's smallest man.
The world's smallest squad. Are we like Russian dolls?
We've got a borrower up front.
Hold on. Martin has put, because we just criticised Pedence, he's put Pedence is one of our top scorers. Martin, it's not hard, is it, at the moment?
2.
Let's be honest,
No,
with 2.
2.
So Neves has got 2.
He's got 40% of our goals.
I think 50%, isn't it? We scored 4. We scored 4?
Is he?
2
We
for
scored
Neves, 2 for Neves, 2 for Pedence.
We scored 2 in the League Cup.
League Cup.
Oh, in all competitions. Tom, you
I don't follow the League Cup.
Maths, don't you? Just outrageous. Well, let's finish up. We won't do the betting odds and ticket news and all that bollocks.
Do you want to read some comments?
You sorry, I didn't think you had.
Oh yeah, do betting odds. Do betting odds. I'm actually interested in this. We won't do ticket news.
Yeah.
Right, bet of the week. Leicester over 2-1.
Wow. Put it on. Put your mortgage on it.
That's
11-5 on Sky Bet for Leicester. Wolves 5-4. So ridiculous.
They don't watch
Wolves.
Wolves.
Just get your money on.
No, clearly not. No, Soccer Saturday's doing the number.
The odds are weird as well. They're quite tight on scorecasts. Personally, I think we're going to lose. I've had 2-0 Leicester. Harvey Barnes, because he used to play for the Albion, to score 95-1.
Not bad.
2-1 Leicester with Maddison scoring because he's a bit of a shit house as well. 50 to 1.
Good.
Set pieces.
Only hope. Scratch out a 1-0 draw and Costa gets his first
1-0 draw. We can't do
1-0
it.
draw.
Sorry.
Can we?
1-0 win. My apologies. Wolves get a 1-0 win, and Costa gets the goals, only 30 to 1. But I'm on Tom's side here. I can't see us getting anything.
Is that your prediction, Tom? 3-0 Leicester?
2 or 3-0, yeah. I think it's going to be.
They've started playing a lot better in the last few weeks.
Yeah, no, they have, to be fair.
I think we'll lose as well, 2-1. Sam, you always say 2-1 Wolves. Can you do a different score prediction today?
I will go for 5-0 Wolves. What's that?
Jesus Christ, you weren't lying when you said you had a drink. Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, look, we'll leave it there for this week. Thank you for joining us if you have on the live stream. It's been good to have your company. Tom Rouse, it's been fantastic to get some Wolves YouTube royalty back in the room.
Are you returning,
Harry...
Tom? Your channel?
Nah.
You are, come on.
Nobody wants that. I've sold my camera, I've sold everything. I'm on Facebook Marketplace, got rid of it all.
The camera you're holding right now looks pretty good to me.
Well, if Dazzling
See the new My Favourite Sheep YouTube channel, though.
The big question for Tom Rouse as a Welshman is who's going to get further in the World Cup?
What out of our group?
Out of my
USA.
group and your group, yes.
Iran.
And I ran.
Have you sold your guitar, Paul Somerset Wolf said, Tom?
Oh, what?
Sold your guitar?
Have you sold your
No. It's all about the guitar now.
I thought you were going to sell your guitar to go to Qatar. Is that not true?
No.
Well, never mind.
It's a shame that it's in Qatar. Like I worked in Wales in 2016, and like there was loads of people in the valleys just getting in camper vans and driving down to France for 2 weeks and then just
shagging each other, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's degenerated. We'll say goodbye to Terry Mansell.
Yeah, please subscribe if you haven't on YouTube. I'm still on the YouTube grind, Tom, you see.
Excellent. Yes, he'll sell.
Don't sell Jimenez.
Yeah. I'll buy subscribers.
Dan Bayliss.
That's the end of the algorithm. Cheerio.
And it's a big goodbye from Tom Rouse.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
See you, everyone.